right, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Rakah Kodash. All right, want to give double honor to our apostles, a great millstone, Ruel, and peace and blessings to the house of David the elect. I'm Zahab, Spirit Wind Judah, all right, the GMS Mississippi camp. I just want to vent. I had something on my spirit, all right. You know, basically Esau is the progenitor of death, all right? And I remember hearing Elder Yashwam of Dallas mention this, and it has been on my spirit today. You know, Esau literally extracts life from every facet of existence to basically hustle. Because the elites started with the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Oppenheimers, so on and so forth. They are businessmen, all right? So everything they do, they turn to a business. They turn marriage into a business, all right? They turn food into a business. They turn sickness into a business. They turn death into a business. They turn war into a business, all right? So their whole thing is making something, you know, creating money, a profit, all right? But they produce death in that process, man. See, Esau is the representation of death, all right? And, you know, one thing I noticed that when you are born into something, when something is a part of your culture, you don't realize that you're causing your own suffering, man. You know, like, what is processed food? If you take food and you process it, in essence, you are taking the essence from their food. You are taking the life source from their food. What's the life source? The nutrients, the nutrition, all right? So if you extract the nutrients from the food, then that food is basically death, all right? And that's the reason why people got all types of cancers and stuff, because when you eat, you feed your cells, all right? That is one example, all right? So that's why you have this great phenomenon going on where everybody is obese, all right? Everybody is sick, diabetes, high blood pressure, mainly the 12 tribes of Israel, all right? Because Esau, that's why I said the wicked watcheth over the righteous and seeketh to slay him. All right, he has us in these concentrated environments, and he studies demographics. All right, he knows how to target Jake, man. All right, but Esau is the progenitor. Esau profits off death, man. Esau markets death. All right, nigger culture is essentially death culture. All right, the men and women are in unity. All right, that's death. All right, Esau took everything that the Most High used to produce life. Esau flipped it and created death, man. All right? When you have sex, you got to rely on a piece of plastic to save you from death. When sex was created to produce life. But just how he did food, he took the nourishment from it and left the pleasure, all right? That's what he did with sex. He took the bond and the unity between the man and the woman, he took that away, all right? He took that away and just left the sex there. But look at the STD rate in your city, man. All right? Look at the single parent household rate in your city. Look it up in your Google. All right? See, Esau is all about divide and conquer and make profits, man. Profit off death, man. He creates this problem and sell you the solution, like the Maxine, man. All right? But Esau markets death. Okay? And that's something that's very important to consider and make note of, man. All right? Like I said, processed food. All right, he totally destroyed the union between the man and the woman. And one thing you have to understand, that you're not in a natural environment in America. You are in a corporate prison. You're a corporate slave in a corporate prison, man. So it's not natural for you to work this job, whatever you're doing, grow old, retire, and die. But you have nothing to leave your offspring. All right, that's why it's so inconvenient to have children, because Esau, he used people, all right? He just want the labor from people. See, Esau's like a king and we're the peasants, man. All right? But no, we're supposed to be in our homeland with our own land and house and inheriting wealth from our forefathers. All right, you're not supposed to grow up and start from scratch. All right? So we live in an artificial environment that's not conducive to our nature as Israelites. because it's in the man's nature to carry on his legacy through reproducing through different women, man. That's just a fact. But we're in this corporate prison that punishes your instincts, and they call it toxic masculinity, man. Just for being a man, they call it toxic masculinity. All right, but in essence, he's creating death. Esau's behind the Black Lives Matter movement. All right, but their content is really death, because they said that the man shouldn't be the center, all right, but the woman and queers. Meaning that the end result is there's death to that so-called community because it's not reproducing itself. All right? And the way you know Esau's system doesn't work, if you take all of Israel and put them on some island and try to use the same philosophies and ways of living on this island outside of the American power structure, all right, you'll fucking die. Because half of the men will be gay, half the women will be feminists, all right? And they won't reproduce with the men because of their superficial American standards, all right? They're going to cancel each other out, all right? So that's how you know you can't use the American philosophy in real time. It only works in this corporate prison, all right? See, when Esau ended slavery, all right, which slavery ultimately ended around 1968, because that's when Jim Crow supposedly had ended. So really, slavery ended around 1969, all right? Which means that as soon as that happened, Esau integrated us into Satanism, all right? Women's liberation and just embracing that Roman debaucherous lifestyle and all these freedoms without consequences. We left slavery and entered into Egypt, or entered into the worship of Satan, all right? Do us what thou wilt, man, all right? He causes Israel to err in their captivity, man, okay? Not saying that we weren't going off and we were conservative Christians, because that's not where we came from either, but at least it has some type of moral fabric to it, man. Some type of moral fiber to it, you know? All right, but when slavery ended officially, you know, including Jim Crow around 1968, 1969, he basically integrated us into a demonic mindset. Started with infiltrating, all right, our culture, our music culture, all right, and making all these movies about Jay being drug dealers back in the 70s, man, all right, or Jay just being focused on money, sex, and guns, all right. Started from there, all right, what they call it, Superfly, all right, then it led to gangster rap, all right. That was a form of witchcraft, man. All right, Esau, when slavery ended, he integrated us into a form of Satanism, man. All right, and it's a form of witchcraft because you don't even see it. You don't even see that you not even see that you're under a spell. But at the same time, he's the left hand of the Most High, because he has to fulfill the prophecies in which, you know, Jacob have an evil eye towards his brother, towards his woman. All right, you know, we're gonna work our ass off and get nothing for it, you know. So we had to be under that had to be fulfilled through Esau, all right? He's the left hand of Yahweh Shema Shai. The point is, Esau is the progenitor of death, all right? And he integrated us, he led us into a demonic slaughter, man, all right? Because while you sitting there protesting, you know, protesting against a so-called white cop killing a Jake, all right, how many Israelites have died in the womb of a so-called black woman, man, all right? Think about that. How many Jakes have killed each other, man? Right? How many Jakes are psychologically imbalanced and financially and emotionally and all that imbalanced because of different movements that persuaded our women that they didn't need a fucking man. So Jake is all out of whack, man. And even that song J. Cole did around last year, all right? What's the name of that song? I can't even think of it. But in one verse, he was like, "We was raised by our mamas, man. We gotta heal." But why were we raised by our mamas, man? That was the equivalent to Caesar, all right, ordering all the Hebrew boys to be killed, man. All right, that's killing a nation when you raise us by our mamas, man. All right, abortion, that was nothing but a serpent-like way of Egypt saying to kill all the Hebrew male babies, man. All right, but he does it in a very subtle way in a very sorcery-like manner that seduces you into you thinking it is perfectly normal. That's why you can protest a so-called white cop killing Jake, but nobody protests abortion. Nobody really protests Jake killing Jake, man. All right, Jake selling drugs to Jake. Nobody protests nigga culture, Hispanic culture. All right? But, you know, I just had that on my spirit, man. You know? Esau, and he led, he's the progenitor of death. All right? And after our captivity, he integrated us into hell, into Satanism, man. All right? Jake is under a spell. This is a demonic spell. When you think about Eazy-E, NWA, and Tupac, and Biggie, all right, Malcolm X, all those were actors. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow for a lot of Jakes, but those niggas were actors set up by Esau, probably the CIA. All right, the CIA set them up and said, look, this is how we're going to influence the Israelites, man. We're going to cause them to err. We're going to lead them into a net, so to speak, an N-E-T, a net, all right, and trap them, man. All right, lead them into a sophisticated form of slavery called the prison industrial complex, and ultimately cause them to err from Yahweh Shema Shai, man. All right, it's something about that decade, about the 70s, man. Esau did a lot of witchcraft in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. The 90s was the 90s was the adults. The 90s was the production or the result of what he was doing to Jake in the 70s. So if you were a baby in the 70s, all right, by the time you're in the 90s, you're in your 20s, you already bugged out. You were in a damn Tupac spell or whatever type of spell. How much more Jake that's born in the year 2000? You basically damn near born a homosexual. All right? But, you know, I'm not going to prolong it. You know, Esau's the progenitor of death. And after slavery, he led us into basically Satanism, a demonic spell. Sucking place, man. Get out, man. All right, but with that, I hope you brothers and sisters were edified. Once again, I want to give all the glory to Yahweh Shema Shai, by Shema Kakodash. Number honor to our apostles, great millstone, rule well. Peace and blessing, as David the elect. And with that, Abba Baal, come Yashala. Shalom.